Welcome back to the Sooner Surge, and Oklahoma softball completed a 2-day set of 4-run rules today on Sunday. They defeated Hofstra for the second time this weekend, 11-3 in the early game that was pushed back an hour because of cold weather down in Waco, kind of something the entire country is dealing with right now. And then a second run rule, 8-0 against number 23 Baylor. Most important thing from that game, a perfect game from Sam Landry. Oklahoma offense really found itself this weekend, and then pitching as well. I mean, they gave up 4 runs all weekend in 4 games. Those 4 runs coming out of 2 of the 4 games. I had 2 shutouts as well. But Sam Landry, just another phenomenal performance. Oklahoma's 10 games into the season, and they already have 2 perfect games. So that tells you something, both coming in run rolls. But Landry today, I think she probably would have went. If it was a full 7-inning game, probably would have had it. Just dominant as dominant can get in the circle in college softball. 8 strikeouts against the 15 batters. The other 7 batters she faced all grounded out. So nothing even making it out of the infield. Complete and total domination against a top 25 team, and a team that honestly could make a run at the Big 12 and maybe even farther this season in Baylor.
Yeah, and you mentioned Landry, Hunter, unbelievable. And the way she's able to change speeds, all the pitches she can throw, the fact that, I mean, today specific, I mean, she was hitting wherever she wanted to hit it on the corners. It didn't matter. At the knees, I mean, she was just dealing. I know Jeremy, not on this video, but he texted plenty of times like, it's like watching Greg Maddox pitch. Just the way she was hitting the corners, the way she was hitting her spots. And that's usually what happens in a perfect game. I mean, you got to be really good, especially against a good lineup and a top 25 team. So Landry was all of that today. Outstanding performance. You know, waited till the 4th game of the weekend to throw Sam Landry, and look what happened. I mean, she came out with what? 1 batter, I think, or something the day before, yeah. But just a great performance by Landry. And I know a lot of people say, there's the ace of the staff. And yeah, but also look around. You got Bella Smith hasn't allowed a run all year. This team's got a lot of pitchers. Landry, when she's on, though, she's absolutely dealing, and she was today. Great to see that from her today, Hunter.
And talking about Landry, 56 pitches.
Unbelievable.
15 batters face. That is 3.73 pitches per batter. I mean,
dare I say perfect?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much is. 42 strikes as well. So, again, just not allowing a full count to even get close to happening. I'm not even sure if it did happen.
That's hard to do. That's hard to do against air.
Yeah, it is, because, I mean, every ump, the strike zone is going to be a little different. And sometimes, especially you bring up what Jerm said about Maddox. If you're painting corners, stuff like that, sometimes it's a judgment call from an umpire on to give you a strike or not, because they're not swinging close to the zone. And so every umpire is a little bit different, but just complete and total domination there. And then offensively for the Sooners, they put up 3 runs to start the game against Baylor. You had a strikeout from Dayton, then a single, a walk, load up the bases. NellyMcEnroe-Marinas singles to score a runner, and then Sydney Barker continued to have an unbelievable weekend. I mean, yesterday 6 RBIs, today adding a few more in the first inning, 2 RBI double as the 5th batter of the game.
Yeah, and then you had, the first game, you had the walk-off with Tia Malloy on the home run. Good to see her get the home run. I mean, just all around great day, really, for the Sooners. I wonder, as the season progresses and you get an SEC play, the way Ella Parker's swinging the bat, are you going to see teams start to try to pitch around her? I think
they did today. They did today.
That's why I bring it up.
They walked her to get to Sydney Sanders, and Sydney Sanders also had a really good day. I mean, second game against Baylor, 2 of 2, then a walk as well, and then against Hofstra, 1 of 1 with 2 walks, a double and an RBI in the first game. So if you can get to the point to where teams are having to pitch around Ella Parker, I do wonder if that's going to start to cause the lineups to be changed a little
That's
bit.
what I wonder too.
Because and Sydney Sanders has been great this weekend. A great weekend for Sydney Sanders. She needed that bad after a little bit of a slower start to the season a weekend ago, but still good stuff from the Sooners' lone senior that's been on the team for more than just a couple months on 2 championship winning teams and starting first baseman as well. So I wonder if maybe they move Pickering back up, because you saw it some earlier on where Parker, Pickering, I mean, those are 2 projected All-Americans. They were preseason first-team All-Americans. I mean, if you have your 1, 2, 3 be Dayton, Parker, Pickering, all 3 of them were preseason All-Americans. That's
crazy.
pretty lethal 1 through 3. And then
Yeah.
if you have Sydney Sanders hitting as well as she has been and drawing walks as well, just getting on base in general, it makes it very hard to pitch around to where you're going to have to pitch to Ella Parker. And right now she is batting .622.
Unbelievable.
It's been a great start to the season through 10 games, and maybe even another SEC honor tomorrow, Monday, when that comes out. Potentially could be on the batting side of things for Parker. And I mean, Sam Landry as well. A perfect game against a ranked opponent is quite the feat.
What about Barker? I mean, Barker's
Sydney Barker made. I would assume, not haven't looked through all the SEC box scores, but I think that weekend for Sydney Barker is going to get her SEC Freshman of the Week. If a freshman had a better week than that, that's even more impressive, because you had the 2 homers yesterday, you had a few more RBIs today, and a couple more extra base hits.
Yeah, it was good to see Nelly Mac get that hit with the base loaded, kind of get her going a little bit. But I got to read this stat, Hunter, to you, okay? And I this from Ryan Chapman on Twitter. I want to give him credit for this stat here. But through 10 games, and let me preface it, I know the competition is not last year. Okay, it's different. But just keep in mind, Florida did lose today, so there is that too. But through 10 games, OU has 5 run rules, 5 shutouts, 2 5-inning perfect games, 86 runs scored, 19 home runs, 18 doubles, and 3 triples. Okay. Those are almost video game numbers to say. I mean, when you look at perfect games, 19 home runs, that's about 2 home runs a game.
Right.
And like I said, I know the competition hasn't been there. It's not like it was last year. But
no, it's not. But when you go a weekend, I'll speak for myself. I thought Oklahoma was probably going to end up losing a game here, just looking at the schedule of Baylor being a top 25 team in some of the preseason content that we put out. I said that's maybe one that Oklahoma could lose as their first loss of the season. And they run ruled everyone, all 4 games.
Yeah.
I mean, they played 20 innings of softball in 4 games. Really good, really hard to do, especially when you're playing a top 25 team in Baylor at their place as well. Yesterday, there was a pretty good crowd there for that game. So back to the first game against Hofstra, Peyton Monticelli got the first start of her believe career. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she
started at Oklahoma. I don't know if she started.
No, that's what I mean. Sorry. At Oklahoma. Career at Oklahoma. Predominantly been a bullpen pitcher. Gets the win, but only gets 1 1/3 innings, 3 earned runs, giving up a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Couple of the earned runs, I will say, was a tough hit ball with the wind that they were dealing with early on. I mean, really all day it seemed to be an issue out of the 3 games played down in Waco, with outfielders being able to track it due to the wind. Moving it, it was a play that Parker was nearly there. Could have easily been an out. The ball gets down, a double, then a run scores after that. But she was able to limit the damage for the most part, and 3 strikeouts as well. That's good. And then Audrey Lowry took over out of the pen. Faced 12 batters, struck out 8 of them, had 1 wild pitch. So
true freshman. And that's the thing. We haven't even mentioned her. We're almost 10 minutes into this video. And what Audrey Lowry did today, just a ho-hum, 8 strikeouts out of 12. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Great performance. She continues to impress. I mean, you talk about it. She's got, and I think Patty said this for the season, she's got some of the best stuff on the team. She's a true freshman. She hasn't even really worked with Rocha much. And just wait till that happens. I mean, just they got, I mean, I was thinking about this today when you look at last year's staff compared to this year's staff.
Right now,
I think this staff's better.
As of right now, it's better. Again, I think it's going to be maybe a more difficult comparison to make as the season progresses because you're looking at last year in the Big 12, you had 3 tough series, I would say.
Yeah.
I believe they played Baylor last year, but then Oklahoma State. Tech was a little bit of a good opponent, not nearly what they are now. They didn't have Nyjah Kennedy. And then you had Texas and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma lost both of those series. Now you look at the SEC, your preseason-wise going to be playing 2 of the top 3 teams in the country, the 2 teams not named Oklahoma in that preseason top 3. So it's going to be a lot tougher of a schedule, but I think right now you can absolutely say that with the way this staff is. I mean, you've had 2 different pitchers throw a perfect game through 10 games. Audrey Lowry, as you mentioned, has been great. Kirsten Deal, I think, has been the best that she's been at Oklahoma or up there with it. Peyton Monticelli out of the bullpen has been great. Today gets a start. Not perfect, but still, I would say, an overall good start. I mean, runs are going to happen. I think a lot of people expect, anytime a pitcher for Oklahoma gives up a run, you got to yank them. No, that's not how it works. I mean, runs happen. And Patty mentioned it on the broadcast as well of telling Peyton of look at the offense that you have behind you to be able to pick you up. I mean, Oklahoma was down 2-0 at the end of the top of 1. They scored 4 runs. They're up 4-2, never trailed the rest of the game. So that part of it helps out a lot. But this pitching staff has been great. And Ilana Agbayani hasn't pitched at all. She may be.
I don't think she will.
I don't think she will much. I think she might at some points. Maybe this next weekend. I think if it's going to happen, it would probably be this next weekend because you got a lot of games in Norman in a short period of time of maybe trying to give somebody like Agbayani a chance to eat up a couple innings of assuming that Oklahoma's probably going to add to that run roll total this weekend.
And it's going to be cold. It's going to be a cold weekend. Really? But before we close this video, I got to say something. And just because I don't know if you saw this, but S.J. Guerin is pitching really good for Auburn. 4-0 on the season. The other day, pitched both games. I don't know how many pitches. I think 160 or 190 pitches. Some wild amount of pitches she threw that day. She's pitching really good for Auburn. It's good to see. I'm happy for her at Auburn, getting a lot of innings, getting a lot of playing time because she didn't get that at Oklahoma yet when she was there. So it's good to see her do it. So I wanted to mention that for the super fans.
And another name that's having a phenomenal start to the year is a former player that Oklahoma will be playing early in SEC play. That's Quincy Lilio, batting .643. Right now with a couple stolen bases as well and 10 RBIs.
Crazy.
2 triples this early in the season as well. So great.
Crazy. That's how deep OU was, though. You couldn't find the field. But
they were both great players. I mean, you're seeing it now at their new schools.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to start to see it some with this freshman class of how talented they are. I mean, with the way Sydney Barker's playing right now, pretty soon you can't leave her out of the lineup if she continues this. Tia Malloy, same deal. Like they both been great. At some point, it's going to be very difficult come SEC play to determine what your lineup is going to be because all the freshmen have been that good. And then if Hannah Core is able to crack through the lineup, Maya Bland as well. I mean, it's going to be difficult for Gasso to make that decision on the lineup.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, some of the freshmen we're talking about, next year's class coming in is unreal too. So, I mean, this team, they're not going anywhere. Okay. They're ready for another championship. That's what they're going to make the run for. And they're looking good so far this weekend, a lot better than the first weekend. So, good to see Oklahoma run roll, get the 4 W's this weekend. Hey, thanks for watching the video. We appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, check out the Fan Stop at thefanstop.com. Sign up for that Shirt of the Month Club. You'll get officially licensed merchandise from thefanstop.com. Appreciate it. Softball season is in full speed now and can't wait to cover it this season with you. Thanks for joining. Have a good night.